Today is managing the deal. So it's an unpopular belief amongst most recruiters because we all believe that everything just happens for a reason and things either come in or don't come in. When we manage a deal and a deal gets to final stage, offer stage, and we don't close it, it's because and our perception is we're going to close it. We have to reflect on what we've done wrong. Okay, and that's an unpopular opinion because the onus sits on you to close your deal, not on the candidate to accept the job. But Alex, I didn't know they were going to offer this salary. You should have known. But Alex, I didn't know that the candidate had another opportunity. You didn't tell me. You should have known. Because what you can do is you can say, oh, do you know what? It's all down to something called luck, which I don't fucking believe in, right? Or you can go, well, there's elements out of my control, and there are elements outside of your control, but we have to ask the difficult questions. We have to ask the tough ones that, oh, I don't know if I want to ask this, the guy's been a bit of a twat, right? We have to ask those questions, and you have to have complete control over the process. It's the difference between what a good recruiter and a great recruiter does, and it's the lack of reliance on volume and therefore working on quality. Because when a candidate doesn't accept a position, your client's perception is that you are shit. Regardless of whether you believe it was your fault or not, your relationship sits. And this is coming from a recruiter that doesn't get every deal over the line. Okay? I've had candidates reject jobs. But if you go into that and your perception is, it's nailed on this, we're done. Guy's at final interview, he or she is going to accept the job, and then you come in and go, yeah, this has happened. The guy's taken up a counter offer. This has happened, that's happened. Right? It's all about how do you become better at your role to prevent that from happening. And if you can't prevent it, you can indicate to the client that my recommendation here is this person is not going to take this job. And I'll give you an example of that. We had Gen X 360. We had a CEO or CFO, I can't remember which, was going in for an interview. He had two opportunities. This was by far the second position because he had to relocate to New York and he was based in Texas. He had an opportunity in Texas which was going to pay him more, was going to have a better equity position, and I said to the client, my recommendation is don't offer him. And they said, well, we want to try. And I said, well, you can try, but he isn't going to take the job until he's found out about a certain position. My suggestion would be to wait until that offer's coming from the other role, and then if he's going to, which he will, take that position. If that offer doesn't come, make him an offer. They made him an offer anyway, the other company offered him, and the candidate took the other job, not the one I'd introduced him to. Do you know what the client said to me? Why didn't you tell me that in the first place? And I said, we had this conversation, and I told you not to offer him, and he went, well, it's your fault. And I was like, thanks a lot. So, it doesn't matter whether you think that you've given all the information to the client, they will still blame you, because they're all looking at themselves as, it's a bit like going out on a date, but all your friends are watching, your mum and your dad are watching, and they're the board members, and they've gone, right, we've interviewed this person, we've all had a look, and we think you should ask her to marry you. And like, Mum, I've never even spoken to her. No, go and ask her to marry you. So you go speak to her and she goes, no, I'm married. And that's it. Your family are watching, your friends are watching, everybody's watching, and that's what making an offer to somebody is like, and then them turning you down. You know, you find every reason in the world to go, oh yeah, I didn't like them anyway. Oh, I didn't think they'd be very successful. Oh, we'll find somebody better. Right? It's a bit like the girlfriend that you lost because you're an idiot, or the boyfriend that you lost because you're an idiot, and then you're always like, well, yeah, the person there with now, he or she is now a model and they're really successful, they're multi-millionaires, but yeah, I didn't want them anyway, right? And they're the perfect person. So that level of emotion when making an offer is high intensity. And when somebody rejects it, it's huge amounts of rejection for your client. If you can recognize that, you can manage it if it's not going to come off. But when things don't come off, they've invested time, energy and effort, and they've got to the end, they're stood at the aisle, and then nobody's coming in to meet with them. And that's the kind of level, I'm sure it's not much, but that's the kind of level of pain you've got to control with your clients. So when you're getting candidates through to final interviews and through to offer stages, and they're not getting the job, or they're not taking the offer, you've got to look at your own process and think, what have I done wrong here? It usually comes down to the fact that you've not asked the difficult questions. but I couldn't get the information from the candidate, I couldn't get this from them. You've got to build better rapport with this candidate. You have to be in their camp, you have to be supporting them, and you have to be on their side. If you're not, you will not get deals to the closing stages, and your clients will blame you because you can't feed that information back. What other opportunities are you looking at? Well, I've got a couple. Okay, so 2 opportunities, and what do they look like? Well, I don't really want to talk about it. Look, I understand why you don't want to talk about it. Look, in my experience, when people don't want to talk about it, it means this position is not number 1, and I respect that, and I can help you manage that process. But if my client makes you an offer tomorrow, and you have to say, no, I need to wait for 2 weeks, this job's going to disappear. And if the other 2 opportunities you've got also disappear, you're currently out of work, Mr. Candidate, and therefore these guys are not going to wait for 2 weeks. So do you need me to stall them? And it's like, oh, this guy's actually trying to work for me and not trying to work for it. Of course I'm trying to work for him. We're paid by the client, but I'm trying to work out whether this candidate's going to take this job or not, and I don't want my client extending an offer to this person and not taking the job. So I'll then come up with some way of stalling the process. He wants to speak to a board member, he wants to have this conversation here. She or he wants to have a conversation with the associates, they want to do this. I'll extend it by a week. Okay? Now, that could then go, well, actually, this position is second and these are the reasons why, because then they feel you're on their side. Right? You've got to build that energy. And that's, most clients will go, well, that's anti the situation of client. Well, Miss Client, you're not going to get the candidate anyway. Because they've got other opportunities and they want to see them through. And then the client's like, well, we're not favoured, or I don't feel number 1, I don't want to be in the process. Okay, so we need to manage that so it doesn't happen. The client's like, oh, we don't know what we're going to offer them. Okay, in my experience with clients, if we get to the end of the process and you go, we're going to offer them less than their current salary, I can get deals over the line of that. And I've had people take, the biggest one, I think was $100,000 drop. But I can't do it when you offer them and put it all in writing and go at the end of the process, we're going to offer you less. Because they'll go, my expectations were you're going to offer me more, I'm not taking this job, the trust is broken, end of story. Whereas if we communicate that through the interview process, that we're concerned about the level of salary, your company was 100 million, this company's 20 million, your company's 500 million AUM, we're 200 million AUM, can we communicate salary earlier? Yes, we can. This is likely what we think the offer will come in. And I don't want you to come in with your big offer, come as a client and then tell me it's going to be lower. I'd like you to come in with the lower end and I'd like you to offer higher. So where does that sit? In my experience, it's going to be this. It's going to be 200,000. Okay, we're on 250,000 moment. I can begin to feed that into their mindset, right? There's a great quote, which I've quoted before, and it's from film, which will surprise everybody, but it's from Batman and the Joker. And he states, if I tell everybody I'm going to blow up one hospital in Gotham City, the whole of Gotham City goes into panic and everybody loses their fucking mind. But if I tell everybody I'm going to blow up one hospital and tell them when and how I'm going to blow it up, everybody's fine and they evacuate the hospital. Right? It's, if people have the knowledge and information, it doesn't matter whether it's bad news, they can deal with it. But they need it early and they need time to do it. If you told everybody he's going to blow up one hospital in Gotham City in the next 5 seconds, everyone would lose their mind. If it's in the next 3 days, we can exit that hospital and then he can blow it up with nobody in it. Okay? So it's that kind of level of communication. If you like Batman, you'll love that. But it's that kind of level of communication that we need to be able to understand with our clients. Because if we tell the candidate with 5 seconds to go and they're getting an offer of low nature and it's about to land in your inbox, not good management. Asking the difficult questions and how to handle that. Getting the candidate or the client on your side so you can communicate it. The thing that people are going to say back, especially if this is going on video, is, Alex, sometimes you can't get information. And yes, sometimes you can't. Right? And I've had it. And I didn't know what we were going to offer Francis, and it came in miles above what we were going to get to. But we got there in the end with regards to the deal, and I could manage the process as best as I possibly could. But you have to ask those questions, you have to probe, you have to push, you have to be able to manage it. And then when you do, you have to go into how you're going to manage that zone and how you're going to run it. It isn't at the end of the process with 1 step to go. If you do get information, there is ways to manage it, and we do elongate the process with numbers of calls, but we don't want that to happen. You need to ask the difficult questions. So this is and everyone always argues, well, you can't control whether to take a counter offer. I haven't had a candidate take a counter offer on my search since I worked for Selection Group, which is at least 10 years ago. Every single candidate I've got pretty much has been counter offered if they work for a business, pretty much. But the reason that they don't take counter offers is because I have fucking conversations with them over and over again to the point where they get annoyed that they're not going to take that counter offer, and you buy into them. You keep reiterating the reasons for leaving and you keep going over it. If you go, I'll speak about it at the end, or I'll just tick the box on the interview card and I'll do it later, you're likely to have a counter offer accepted by the candidate. You have to have those level of conversations all the way through, to the point where they feel like an idiot if they take that counter offer. Right? And that counter offer was the biggest deal I would have ever done at that time. It was 18,000, I know, astonishingly large, but £18,000 I was placing a guy and he got 50k basic salary increase. Bear in mind, he was only on 50k. And this was in the oil and gas boom, where people were throwing stupid money in. I can't remember what company you work for. Some sealing technology manufacturing business. But that was painful because £18,000 was a lot of deal size, when my biggest deal from there was like 10. So it's nearly double my largest fee back then, but that's painful. And it's going to be even more painful if it's 70, 80, 100, 50, 200, God forbid, get there again, size deals. Then it's going to be even more painful for what you want to achieve. Okay?